Have you ever felt it? That deep, resonant hum just beneath the surface of your everyday existence. It's a feeling that there's a version of yourself, a stronger, more resilient version, trapped in the amber of your own comfort and fear. This isn't some mythological hero or a character from a movie. This is you. It is the raw, untapped potential you were born with. A version that isn't perpetually afraid, that doesn't capitulate at the first sign of pressure, that can face any storm life conjures and not just survive it, but walk through its howling winds and emerge on the other side, redefined. This other self is the person you dream of being in your most private, honest moments. Most of us spend our entire lives on a fruitless quest, looking for the key to unlock that person. We become scavengers of self-improvement, picking through the bones of what others have left behind. We search for it in the glossy pages of self-help books that promise transformation in 10 easy steps, in the thunderous applause of motivational seminars where inspiration feels potent but proves to be fleeting, and in the ephemeral highs of momentary success. We chase these external fixes, believing the secret is a complex password that someone else holds, a guru, a mentor, a leader who will bestow it upon us if we are worthy. But the truth, the raw and inconvenient truth, is that the key has been in your possession all along. It has never been anywhere else. It's buried, however, in a place most people are too existentially terrified to dig. A place of profound discomfort, radical self-assessment, and raw, unvarnished honesty. This journey isn't for the faint of heart. This isn't about a quick fix or a magic pill you can swallow to make the pain go away. This is about a deliberate, conscious journey into your own personal darkness, not to be consumed by it, but to find your own inextinguishable light. And this comes with a solemn warning. If you choose to turn away from this internal excavation, if you choose the comfort of the familiar and the anesthesia of distraction, you're not just missing out on another challenge. You are willingly forfeiting the only battle that truly, fundamentally matters, the battle for the ownership of your own soul. The ultimate competitor. You need to understand something right now, and you need to internalize it until it becomes a part of your very marrow. The world you inhabit is not your friend. It is not a neutral backdrop or a passive bystander in the story of your life. It is the ultimate competitor, an adversary of unparalleled cunning, and it is absolutely, terrifyingly relentless. Life itself, in its chaotic and impartial nature, will test you. It will not ask for your permission. It will push you, prod you, and systematically search for every single crack in your armor, every chink in your mental fortitude. Think of it like a grandmaster chess player or a prize fighter that never ever gets tired. This opponent has been studying you since the day you were born. It has a complete file on you. It knows your every move, every predictable reaction. It knows precisely where your deepest insecurities lie, the ones you barely admit to yourself. It knows the exact frequency of the voice in your head that whispers your doubts, that reminds you of your past failures, and it will tune into that frequency and hammer that exact spot over and over and over again until you break. Life's entire goal seems to be to take you out, to wear you down with 1,000 tiny cuts or a single devastating blow. It wants to convince you at a cellular level that you are not good enough, that you should stay down, that it's safer to be small. And in the face of this constant grinding pressure, the noise of the modern world becomes more than a distraction. It becomes a fatal accomplice to your defeat. The endless, hypnotic scrolling on social media, a highlight reel of curated lives that amplifies your own perceived shortcomings. The barrage of podcasts, news channels, and expert opinions, a constant chatter that fills your head with so much external noise that you can no longer hear your own thoughts. It's a carefully engineered ecosystem of distraction designed to keep you sedated, entertained, and, above all, pacified. It's time to recognize this noise for what it is. A weapon of mass distraction aimed squarely at your potential. It's time to shut it all down. It's time to get off the stage where you perform for an audience of critics, stop hearing yourself talk, and retreat to the one and only place where real, durable strength is ever forged. The stark, quiet, and unforgiving mental lab. Another, a living autopsy. Inside that mental lab, the real work begins. This is where you must be willing to perform a living autopsy on yourself. The concept is simple but brutal. When a person dies, a coroner or a pathologist performs an autopsy to methodically determine the cause of death. They cut open the body, examine the organs, and trace the failure back to its source. But why in God's name do we wait until it's too late? Why do we wait for a physical death to understand what was killing us spiritually and mentally all along? The chilling reality is that most of us are walking around, living and breathing, but we are effectively dead on the inside. We are being slowly, methodically killed by our own undealt with baggage. We are being poisoned by the shame we carry from our past, suffocated by the traumas we refuse to confront, and paralyzed by the secret insecurities we hope no one will ever discover. This internal decay is the root cause of our failure to launch, our chronic procrastination, our inability to commit, and our deep-seated unhappiness. To reverse this process, you need to get to a point of radical self-confrontation. You have to be able to metaphorically strap yourself to a table, turn on the harsh fluorescent lights, and face every single demon you've ever run from. You have to be willing to sit down with the ghost of your past self, the one who failed, the one who was hurt, the one who was a coward, and listen. You must listen to all the painful stories, the memories that make you cringe, the traumas that you've buried under layers of denial, and you must do it without flinching. Your goal is not to wallow in self-pity, but to become a detective of your own soul. You must look at each wound and ask, okay, I see you, I hear you. Now what did you teach me? What weakness did you expose? How did you shape the person I am today? The shame you feel, whether it's about things you've done or things that were done to you, is one of the heaviest anchors holding you to the harbor of mediocrity. It whispers that you are permanently damaged, that your past disqualifies you from a powerful future. You must wage war on this shame. You must never ever be ashamed of your life story, because it is the very curriculum that has the power to make you great. You must face it. You must own every chapter of it. And then, and only then, can you begin the work to fix it. Everything, absolutely everything, you need to conquer the world outside of you is found by first having the courage to conquer the world within. The calloused mind. Life will inevitably bring you suffering. This is not a pessimistic outlook. It is a statement of undeniable fact. Sickness, loss, failure, betrayal, accidents, heartbreak. These things are not remote possibilities. They are statistical certainties on a long enough timeline. This is the unchosen suffering of life, the kind that will be delivered to your doorstep without your consent, whether you're ready for it or not. It doesn't care about your plans, your goals, or your feelings. It will arrive like a thief in the night or a storm on the horizon. So what can you do? You can't build a wall high enough to keep it out. You can't negotiate with it. You can't stop it from coming, but you absolutely can prepare for its arrival. The only way to prepare your mind and spirit for the crushing weight of unchosen suffering is to actively and intentionally embrace chosen suffering. You must, as a daily practice, do things that suck. You have to build a voluntary, structured relationship with discomfort. This isn't about being a masochist or engaging in pointless, self-destructive behavior just to prove you're a badass. Running 200 miles on broken feet might be part of one person's journey, but the principle is scalable. It's about building a callus on your mind in the same way a guitarist develops calluses on their fingertips. The first time they press down on a steel string, it's agonizing. The skin is soft. It hurts. But with repetition, day after day, the skin toughens. It builds a protective layer. The guitarist can still feel the string, but the pain no longer stops them from playing. That is what you must do for your mind. Wake up when the alarm clock goes off, especially when your bed feels like a warm sanctuary. Take a cold shower. Go for a run when it's raining and miserable outside. Study for an extra hour when your brain is fried. Have the difficult conversation you've been avoiding. By consistently and deliberately putting yourself in situations of controlled adversity, you are forging a part of your mind that is so tough, so resilient, that when real, devastating, unchosen suffering arrives, it doesn't become a permanent, life-shattering barrier. It becomes just another obstacle, a hurdle that you have the training and the mental muscle to maneuver through and past. You must be tough, you must be hardened, because the storm is coming for every single one of us. When it hits, you can either be the person who is shattered by it or the person who has built a foundation so deep and so strong that it can withstand anything. La Poufam, you are the purpose. So many people are trapped in a state of suspended animation, waiting for a purpose to descend from the heavens and get them out of bed in the morning. Their motivation is entirely external, a carrot dangling just out of reach. They need a 5K race on the calendar to have a reason to run. They need a school admission to have a reason to study. They need a promotion on the line to have a reason to work hard. They function like performance animals, needing some external goal, some prize, some form of validation to give them a reason to perform. But what happens when the race is over? When you cross the finish line, get the medal, and go home? What happens when you get the degree, walk across the stage, and the applause fades? What happens when you get the promotion and the new title becomes normal? What happens when there's simply nothing on the docket? You stop. The fire goes out. You drift. This is the biggest and most insidious trap of all, the cycle of fleeting, goal-based motivation. You are looking for purpose in all the wrong places. The purpose is not the finish line. It's not the medal, the certificate, the job title, or the number in your bank account. The purpose is you. You are always the purpose. The ultimate, unwavering, and unimpeachable reason to perform to your highest possible level is not for a prize, but out of a deep and abiding sense of pride and respect for yourself. It is the act of honoring the potential that exists within you. If you wake up in the morning and you don't want to do the hard things required to better yourself, to train your body, to sharpen your mind, to strengthen your character, it's not because you lack a goal. It's because you don't truly care enough about yourself. That is the only research you need to do. Forget the motivational books for a second and conduct an audit of your own self-respect. Do you believe you are a vessel worthy of constant improvement? The number one purpose in life, the one that can never be taken away from you, is to better oneself. That's it. That is the meta goal that fuels all other goals. You don't need another reason. The quest to become the best version of yourself is, and always will be, enough. Dayosi, the architect of a new self. I was born David Goggins. I need you to understand that this was not just a name. It was an identity, a set of limitations, a pre-programmed response system. And that person, the original David Goggins, was not good enough. He was a scared, bullied, abused kid who was haunted by his past and struggled with nearly everything. He was overweight, he had a learning disability, and his mind was a repository of fear and self-doubt. No matter how hard I trained for something, no matter how much I prepared, when things got truly, soul-crushingly difficult, when the real pain set in, the real David Goggins would inevitably emerge, and he would quit. He was my factory default setting. The voice of that scared kid was the loudest one in my head. I realized that this identity, this David Goggins software, would forever hold me back. It was a ceiling on my potential. So I had to do something radical. I had to build a new one. I had to become an architect of a new self and create Goggins. This new identity wasn't a mask or a fake persona to show the world. It was a tool, an operating system forged in the darkest, most private moments of my life, when no one was watching, no one was cheering, and no one would have known if I had quit. Goggins was built by waking up at 3 a.m. when I didn't have to. It was built by going back out to run more miles when my body was screaming in protest. It was built by digging holes in the ground and then filling them back up, a metaphor for doing brutally hard work for no other reason than to do it. It was built by pushing through pain when my mind, my original programming, was screaming with every primal instinct to stop, to seek comfort, to survive. I got better, stronger, and fundamentally different in the crucible of solitude and suffering. This isn't about being fake. It's about being a conscious architect of your own character. You have to perform that living autopsy, identify the weaknesses in your original design, The faulty wiring of insecurity, the cracked foundations of past trauma, and then deliberately, brick by painful brick, build a stronger structure. You design a new blueprint based on who you want to become, and then you live that blueprint into existence through relentless action. It's vital to stay hungry for more, to never be satisfied with your last victory. But it is even more important to stay humble within that hunger, to remember where you came from, because ego is the most dangerous enemy of growth. The janitor's humility. There's a powerful story about a man named William Crawford. For years, he was a janitor at the prestigious United States Air Force Academy. He was an older, quiet man who went about his work with quiet dignity, sweeping floors, cleaning toilets, and maintaining the facilities for the young, ambitious cadets who were destined for greatness. To them, he was likely invisible, just a part of the background, a humble old janitor. They probably walked past him 1,000 times without a second thought, caught up in their own worlds of rigorous training and future glory. But this man, William Crawford, was a ghost walking among them. He was a recipient of the Medal of Honor, the United States' highest and most prestigious military decoration. He had earned it during World War II for acts of unbelievable heroism, repeatedly risking his own life under intense fire to save his comrades. This man, who had reached the absolute pinnacle of demonstrable courage, had the profound humility to put that medal away in a closet, to never speak of it, to pick up a broom and a dustpan, and to find honor and purpose in service. That right there is the bedrock of all true and lasting growth. The moment you start to see yourself as better than anyone else, the moment your achievements inflate your ego to the point where you look down on the person sweeping the floor, you have lost. You have become brittle. True strength, real wisdom, comes from a deep, unshakable understanding that you have been in the dungeon. You know what failure, shame, and weakness feel like. I can connect with and help so many people, not because I stand on a mountaintop and shout down at them, but because I've never forgotten what it feels like to be at the bottom. For most of my life, I was beneath them. I was the one they were looking down on. That's where my knowledge comes from the mud, the grime, and the failure. Humility is not weakness. It is the silent, unbreakable foundation of all genuine strength. Pupo, the uncluttered mind. People talk about discipline all the time. They chase it like it's a magical quality they can acquire. But discipline on its own is utterly useless if your mind is a cluttered, chaotic mess. You have to think of your mind as a garage. Imagine a garage that is filled to the ceiling with junk. It's packed with old boxes from 10 years ago, broken tools you'll never fix, stacks of yellowed newspapers, useless clutter, and random garbage. It's so full that you can't even park your car in it, let alone find a specific tool when you need it. That is an accurate picture of how most people's minds operate on a daily basis. They are filled to the brim with unresolved stress from their job, gnawing worries about their family, chronic insecurities about their image, resentments from the past, anxieties about the future, and 1,000 other trivial distractions. Then, amidst this absolute horde of mental junk, they try to cram discipline in there somewhere. They get motivated for a day or a week and try to wedge it into a corner, but inevitably, it gets buried under an avalanche of clutter again, and they fall off the wagon, wondering why they can't stick with anything. You cannot install a new high-performance engine in a car that is filled with trash. You need to clean out the car first. You need to organize your mind. You have to become the ruthless curator of your own mental space. This means you must compartmentalize, put things on shelves, and create clear, open space. I do this every single night. It's a non-negotiable mental reset. Before I go to sleep, I mentally walk through my day. I take out the worries, the frustrations, the failures. I examine them. What can I learn from this? What do I need to do tomorrow? Then I put them on a mental shelf, categorized and contained. I throw out the useless junk, the petty slights, the pointless anxieties. I organize the garage. Only when your mind is clear, organized, and functional can you find a permanent and accessible home for discipline, motivation, focus, and all the other high-performance tools you need to build a better life. The spot, the uncomfortable truth. To begin any journey of meaningful, lasting change, you must start with the one thing that most people spend their entire lives avoiding: the truth. And the absolute, stark, uncomfortable truth of who you are, what you're capable of, and what's holding you back is not found in a comfortable environment. You will never find your true limits, your hidden grit, or your authentic self while you are safe, cozy, and insulated from reality. You find it only when you intentionally drown yourself in situations that are completely out of your element, where you feel like you can't swim and every instinct is screaming for you to grab a life raft. It's in that moment of desperation, when you are gasping for air and face to face with your own raw weakness, that you finally establish a true starting point. Until you've been there, everything is just theory. Most people live their lives in a small, safe, predictable percentage of their actual potential. They set goals they are fairly certain they can reach. They stick to what they know. They are terrified to venture into the darkness, the place of suffering, failure, and crushing self-doubt. But what they fail to understand is that the darkness is where all the light is. It's where the ore of your potential is buried. To get there, you have to take sovereign control of the most powerful and dangerous weapon in the world, your own brain. Left to its own devices, it will try to control you. It's a survival machine, hardwired over millennia to seek comfort, avoid pain, and conserve energy. Its primary objective is to keep you safe and comfortable in the familiar. You have to become its master. You have to be the one to tell it where you're going, not the other way around. You have to give yourself no way out, to burn the boats, to immerse yourself in the metaphorical fire of voluntary hardship until what was once terrifying becomes your new normal. You already possess all the tools you need. You know instinctively how to do this. The only question that remains is the one that will define the rest of your life. Are you brave enough to start?